As the first light of dawn painted the horizon with hues of orange and pink, a multitude gathered at the foot of Golgotha. There, silhouetted against the stark landscape, stood the cross where Jesus was to be crucified. A centurion, a figure of imposing stature among the Roman soldiers, observed the preparations for the execution with unwavering attention. The ensuing moments etched themselves into the memories of all present. The ground trembled beneath their feet in a violent earthquake, instilling a sense of impending doom. The sun, moments before having risen, seemed to darken, casting an eerie shadow over the land. Rocks split apart, emitting deafening sounds that reverberated through the air. The centurion, hardened by years of war and exposed to countless acts of brutality, felt an unfamiliar chill run down his spine. Never before had he witnessed such extraordinary events. As he gazed upon the man hanging on the cross before him, a mixture of awe and reverence filled his heart. He then uttered the words, "Truly, this was the Son of God." Matthew 27 verse 54. This declaration merely marks the beginning of our exploration into the life and role of this enigmatic figure. We will delve into the identity of the centurion, his position within the Roman army, and the events that unfolded after the crucifixion and death of Jesus Christ. Within the Roman legions, the rank of centurion was one of significant prestige and responsibility. It was a position sought after by many, yet attained by few. To reach such a level required not only courage and military skill, but also unwavering discipline and loyalty to the empire. A centurion commanded a century, a unit comprising approximately 100 soldiers, and his authority within that unit was absolute. As a Roman officer, he was an integral part of a military machine that frequently enforced law and order through force, often employing brutal methods such as crucifixion. A soldier aspiring to become a centurion had to demonstrate not only bravery in combat, but also strategic acumen and natural leadership abilities. He needed to set an example for his men, inspiring them to follow his orders without question. Discipline and obedience were essential values for a centurion, and he expected the same from his subordinates. The centurion was a figure both respected and feared within the Roman army. His bravery and intelligence were admired by his superiors, and his ability to lead men in battle often determined the outcome of conflicts. He not only commanded his troops on the battlefield but was also responsible for maintaining order and discipline among his soldiers during times of peace. During the crucifixion of Jesus, Roman soldiers played a vital role in carrying out the execution, following orders, and maintaining order during the process. While many were accustomed to dealing with condemned criminals and executions, the events they witnessed that day were unusual and unsettling, leaving a lasting impact on their minds. As Jesus hung and suffered on the cross, the soldiers not only crucified him but also cast lots for his garments, adhering to a common practice of the time to divide the possessions of the condemned among themselves. The Gospel of John, chapter 19, verses 23 and 24, details this event. When the soldiers had crucified Jesus, they took his clothes and divided them into 4 parts, 1 part for each soldier, with the tunic remaining. This garment was seamless, woven in one piece from top to bottom. So they said to one another, "Let's not tear it, but cast lots to decide who will get it." Casting lots for his garments fulfilled prophecy, echoing the scripture, "They divided my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots." This act was carried out by the soldiers. Despite facing humiliation and scorn, Jesus remained steadfast throughout his earthly journey. He endured numerous injustices, yet his trial and crucifixion stand out as particularly poignant. Faced with false accusations, mockery, and brutality, Jesus' response unveiled not only his innocence but also his divine nature. From the moment he was brought before the high priest and the Sanhedrin, Jesus confronted a barrage of fabricated charges. However, he never wavered from his serene and dignified demeanor. While interrogated and insulted, he remained silent, answering only when necessary. His composure in the face of provocation disconcerted his accusers, who anticipated a more emotional reaction. In Matthew 26 verses 62 to 64, when questioned by the high priest regarding the accusations, Jesus directly affirmed his divinity. "You have said so, Jesus replied. "But I say to you, from now on you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of the Mighty One and coming on the clouds of heaven." These words not only reaffirmed his messianic identity but also underscored his divine authority. During his trial before Pilate, Jesus encountered further unjust accusations. Again, his response was one of calm resignation. Even as the crowd demanded his crucifixion, he remained serene, refusing to engage in futile disputes or debates. He endured flogging, the crown of thorns, and the ridicule of Roman soldiers with dignity and humility. His silent endurance of violence contrasted sharply with the brutality of his tormentors, revealing his inner strength and unwavering trust in the Father's will. During his crucifixion, Jesus continued to demonstrate compassion and forgiveness, even amidst his own suffering. In Luke 23 verse 34, he uttered, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." These words showcased his willingness to pardon even those who were crucifying him, revealing his unconditional love for all humanity. Nearby stood the centurion, overseeing the execution and witnessing Jesus' actions and responses. Simultaneously, nature itself began to react in unusual ways. An earthquake shook the ground, causing people to recoil in fear. Concurrently, a thick darkness enveloped the land, obscuring the sun and casting an ominous shadow over the landscape, even during daylight. These natural phenomena were interpreted as divine signs, attesting to the gravity of the events unfolding. Adding to the extraordinary events following Jesus' death was the resurrection of saints, as recorded in Matthew 27 verses 52 to 53. Tombs were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. After Jesus' resurrection, they came out of the tombs, entered the holy city, and appeared to many. This phenomenon heightened the sense that something divine and supernatural was transpiring. Even for a seasoned and hardened Roman soldier like the Centurion, the crucifixion of Jesus was an unprecedented event. Despite being accustomed to the brutality and cruelty of military life, these events were profoundly unsettling. They witnessed not only the death of a man but also signs and wonders that defied their understanding of the world, the earthquake, the darkness, and the resurrection of the saints. The events of that bleak day on Golgotha left him bewildered, prompting a profound examination of his deeply held beliefs and convictions. Nothing in his experience had prepared him for what he witnessed. At that moment, the centurion gazed upon the man on the cross, his eyes piercing beyond the physical realm. He discerned a divine presence, something that transcended human comprehension. He found himself questioning his established beliefs and convictions, grappling with the possibility that, just perhaps, this man was truly the Son of God. Even amidst the brutality and cruelty he had encountered throughout his military career, the crucifixion of Jesus stood apart. It was an event that challenged every preconceived notion he held about what was possible. The happenings of that day etched themselves into his mind as he observed the crucified man. Truly, this was the Son of God, he murmured to himself, a deep sigh escaping his lips. He had never seen anything like it before. Even in moments of torture and suffering, Jesus radiated an aura of peace and serenity that surpassed anything the centurion had ever experienced. As the centurion stood there, contemplating what he had witnessed, the words of Jesus echoed in his mind. He recalled the unjust accusations, the hasty trial, the enraged crowd clamoring for blood. And yet, in the face of such suffering, Jesus remained silent, accepting his fate with dignity and compassion. The centurion found himself questioning everything he thought he knew. He had been trained to obey the orders of his superiors without question, but now he found himself questioning everything. This man on the cross was not a common criminal, he was innocent, he was the Son of God. As the crowd dispersed and the sun began to shine again in the sky, the centurion remained there, lost in his thoughts. He knew that his life would never be the same after that day. He had witnessed something that would change the course of history forever, and he knew in his heart that he could never forget what he had seen on that mount called Golgotha. In a world dominated by war and violence, he recognized divinity amidst pain and suffering, and this revelation altered his life forever. Following the extraordinary events surrounding the crucifixion of Jesus, the Roman centurion, who would become known in Christian tradition as Saint Longinus, underwent a profound spiritual transformation that would forever change the course of his life. As Christian tradition recounts, the centurion known as Saint Longinus resolved to abandon his former life as a Roman soldier and dedicate himself completely to following Jesus. He renounced earthly power and glory in pursuit of true peace and spiritual meaning. His journey of faith led him to a life of service and witness, preaching the gospel and sharing the transformative message of Christ's love. An additional note on the centurion is the fact that he was one of the first Gentiles to recognize and proclaim the divinity of Jesus. In the context of Jewish society at the time, where most of Jesus' early followers were Jewish, the centurion's testimony as a Roman officer is noteworthy. This highlights the universality of Jesus' message and its ability to touch hearts beyond ethnic and cultural boundaries. The centurion's recognition as a Roman military leader also underscores that the gospel is not exclusive to a particular social class but is available to all people, regardless of their position in society. His decision to follow Christ was a testament to this profound truth. Longinus's embrace of Christianity incurred the displeasure of the Roman authorities, who regarded him as a potential threat to the established order and societal equilibrium. He faced interrogation, intimidation, and ultimately torture as they attempted to coerce him into renouncing his newfound faith and ceasing his evangelical endeavors. Tradition dictates that Longinus endured a brutal martyrdom as a result of his unwavering devotion to Jesus Christ. He underwent excruciating torture, which included the removal of his tongue to silence his voice and the extraction of his eyes to obscure the gospel. These acts of barbarism aimed not only to inflict physical pain but also to instill fear in other adherents of Jesus, serving as a gruesome example of the repercussions for defying authority and opposing the prevailing belief system. Despite the indescribable suffering he faced, Longinus remained steadfast in his faith and dedication to Jesus Christ until the very end of his earthly existence. His courage and resilience in the face of persecution have inspired countless Christians throughout history, bolstering their own faith and commitment to the gospel. Thus, Saint Longinus is revered as one of the 14 Holy Helpers, a group of saints venerated in the Roman Catholic Church for their potent intercession in times of need. Devotion to Saint Longinus has evolved over the centuries, particularly among believers who seek his assistance with health issues, especially those related to eyesight. Legend also identifies Saint Longinus, the centurion, as the Roman soldier who oversaw the crucifixion of Jesus Christ at Calvary. Prior to witnessing the events of the crucifixion, Saint Longinus allegedly suffered from a visual impairment. However, as he pierced Jesus' side with a lance, as detailed in the Gospel of John, chapter 19, verse 34, some versions of the legend claim that the blood and water that flowed from Jesus' wound came into contact with Longinus' eyes, instantaneously restoring his sight. This miracle, alongside other momentous events, purportedly led Longinus to recognize Jesus' divinity and convert to Christianity, becoming a devoted follower. Consequently, the reverence for Saint Longinus as a protector of eyesight and related matters may stem from the lore that he had a visual impairment prior to piercing Jesus' side with the lance, and after the event, his vision was miraculously restored. This belief has prompted numerous individuals to seek Saint Longinus' intercession for eye-related health concerns and other vision-related needs. It is important to emphasize that this identification is part of several Christian traditions. However, it is not explicitly mentioned in the Bible. The narrative of the centurion serves as a potent reminder of the transformative impact that encountering Jesus can have on our lives. This Roman officer, whose duty it was to ensure Jesus' crucifixion, witnessed extraordinary events that prompted him to proclaim, "Truly, this was the Son of God." His recognition of Jesus was not merely a casual observation but the result of a heart touched by divine grace. From that pivotal moment, the centurion's life underwent a profound change. His spiritual journey led him to abandon his former life and follow in the footsteps of Jesus, becoming a devoted adherent of the gospel. The centurion's transformation teaches us that regardless of who we are or what our past may hold, the redemptive love of Jesus has the power to liberate, heal, and guide us toward a life of purpose and meaning. Just as the centurion did, we can discover hope and salvation by surrendering to the unconditional love of Christ. May the centurion's story encourage us to seek our real identity in Christ, embodying His love and grace in our daily lives. Like Him, may we acknowledge and declare that Jesus is indeed the Son of God, through whom we receive forgiveness, renewal, and everlasting life. Thank you for watching this video. I trust it offered valuable insights. Please consider subscribing to the channel, giving a thumbs up, and sharing your location in the comments. Best wishes, and may God bless you.